Hello, my name is Dr. Ruthie, or Dr. Ruth Newstifter if you want to be formal. I'm a professional sexuality educator and relationship expert. I blog over at exploringintimacy.com, but thanks to the good folks at funwares.com, I am here today answering your questions on sex and relationships. If you want to send me a question, you can send it on over to AskDrRuthie at funwares.com, AskDrRuthie at funwares.com. Today's question comes from a gentleman who just goes by Anon. We're getting a lot of anonymous ones today, but that is okay. And he says, "Dear Dr. Ruthie, please help. It seems like when I am with my girlfriend, my pacing is just always wrong. I am either going too fast and she loses the mood, or I am trying too hard to be romantic and slow and she loses interest. Sometimes I even worry that she is faking to make the situation over with more quickly, but she says that she isn't. What can I do to help with my sexual pacing? Thanks, Anon." Anon, thank you for your question, and I think that a lot of folks should be asking this question and maybe just aren't aware that they should be asking it. So I'm very glad that this is something that you're aware of, so that it's something that you can work on. And I'm also glad that you're reaching out for suggestions on this and that you care about this topic. It's very important, and on behalf of your significant other, thank you for all of those things. Those are the real criteria for being a good lover, because that lets you improve your techniques and your skills and your interactions. And that's what you want to do, is get better and better, right? Okay, so let's start with sexual pacing. Now, when you talk about things going too fast, that's a very different issue than things going too slow, although they're both tied together by pacing. Oftentimes, guys, whether they're partnered with men or women or other genders, have learned to masturbate in a certain way that's really quick. And this is something we've talked about in previous videos, too, about pacing and stamina and masturbating for better sex and things like that. You want to get off quickly because it feels good, so you want it to be intense. You also don't want to get caught. You may be feeling a little bit of shame, or at least the background knowledge that this is something that other people shouldn't see you doing, and you got to hide the mess or whatever. And so men tend to learn to masturbate in a certain way. And oftentimes they will emulate that way with their partners, especially when their partners are really excited to be there in the moment. And so they're sharing this like, let's make it happen, really intense sort of excitement. Or their partners normally maybe are not in the mood or might lose the mood soon, so you want to go ahead and seize the moment while you can. And that will often result in sex that happens too quickly. On the other hand, oftentimes guys really want to be good lovers, which is fantastic. Go guys. And so there's this kind of Hollywood image of what makes for good sex. And oftentimes the pacing in this good sex is very, very romantic, very eye connection-y, almost always missionary style, with a slow kind of undulating, thrusting-y sort of circular motion that seems to be happening with a sheet over them, so it's very mysterious. And all the sounds are smooth, and nobody passes gas or anything embarrassing, heaven forbid, and you definitely don't need lube. And of course, if you can't tell from my voice, that also is generally not the case for folks for what they really want for good sex. Pacing is going to be different with female or male partners almost every time you get together. But with female partners, it can also vary depending on where she is in her cycle, if she has a menstrual cycle at this point in time, and can also be dependent a little bit and affected by pharmaceutical birth control. So that could be in the picture too. But regardless of all that, there's likely to be some times when she wants sex to be different than other times. It could be hormonally related. It could just be the day, and the mood and all that sort of stuff. How long she's been fantasizing before you get together, things like that. So the most important thing is to really be able to tune into body language. And to be able to tune into body language, you have to really pay attention to your partner's responses and start with a flirtation or seduction. That does not have to last a real long time, depending on your partner's mood, but that gives you the chance to tune in and look at things like listen for breathing, look for when the skin flushes red or pink, especially the earlobes and the vulva, and the chest too, oftentimes right in the sternum area right here. Vocal noises, moaning, and the intensity of breath, and also how she's moving her hips or her body, wherever you happen to be touching her, to meet your touch? What if she doesn't give responses? There's something else going on there. She may also feel the need to be subdued, or she's shy, or it's not really working for her in that moment, in which case that's a separate conversation you need to open about how she can communicate what she likes and doesn't like. Now, while you're looking for these cues, it's also great to ask questions about when she wants more and how much more. If you feel like you're having trouble getting a grasp of that, ask her to show you. Ask her to put her hand on top of your hand and show you how she wants to be touched and with what level of intensity, and to give you that feedback. Do you want more? How much more do you want? And those sorts of questions, and hopefully she can take over and start giving you that feedback so that you're really working together as a team to participate in her arousal and stimulation in the way that she wants it. And always moving your pacing in response to her body language and her verbal cues to you. I'm Dr. Ruthie, and I hope that that gives you some useful information on how to better match your pacing with your partner. Don't try to guess what the pacing is going to be ahead of time. Use the body language and the verbal feedback back and forth to match it, and know that it's going to be different than anything that you're seeing on TV. I will see you at the next video. Thanks.